Hi there, I'm Shane Smyth. I'm a registered psychotherapist, couples therapist, and individual therapist. I'm certified in emotionally focused couples therapy, and that's based on attachment theory. And I'm also well experienced and highly trained in a type of therapy that's called Gottman couples therapy. So currently I kind of mix both of them, or some people see me specifically because they want one of those models, and I'm happy to adapt and work with people where they're at. I'm not a sex therapist, but I have done training in sex therapy, and I'm very comfortable and happy to work with people around sexuality and sex as it shows up in their relationships or in their individual lives. I work both as a couples therapist and as an individual therapist. At the moment, I'm not doing or offering a free 20-minute consultation because part of the reason is I guess I'm pretty busy, I'm pretty full up, and I understand that mightn't suit people. I know some people definitely want a 20-minute consultation, which I respect. So if doing a 20-minute consultation is something you really want, and I'm somebody you really want to see, then yeah, I can arrange on my calendar to do a 20-minute consultation with you without a charge. But I'm hoping that doing this video will kind of give you an introduction to me and who I am and what kind of therapy I do when I'm working with either couples or individuals, and therefore hopefully you're happy to go ahead and book a session like for an hour or for an hour and 20. My couple sessions are an hour and 20 minutes, my individual sessions are an hour. So hopefully this video gives you enough of a background about me, and I'll tell you what I typically would talk about in a consultation anyway. So typically in a consultation I introduce myself. I say like I'm 47 years old, I was born in Ireland. I come from a family I guess where I have three brothers, and we grew up in a dynamic where emotions weren't something that we talked about openly, or we didn't really understand much about emotions. Growing up in Ireland in the 80s, a lot of the focus was on just getting a good job, study, work hard, and get on with life, really. So I didn't have a lot of emotional intelligence growing up, for sure. And then when I went to university, I studied engineering, partly because I was good at math, and I was just, there wasn't many options. It wasn't really a question of what do you want to do. It was more of a question of what should you do that pays well. So I did engineering, and I was never really that interested in it, but I still worked at it for 6 years, I guess. And then I had a bad car accident and went to therapy for the first time because I was nervous about driving, getting back in the car again. And that was like revolutionary experience for me. The therapist, I still remember, was like, when I started telling about my life, I come from a family where like addiction and alcoholism and were part of my family growing up. Violence was in my family home growing up as well. So when I started to tell the therapist about my family life and I was also struggling with relationships as an adult. I guess I was in my 20s when I had the car accident. And so when I started telling the therapist about myself, I guess the therapist was like, wow, you have emotions, they're okay, you can be with them, and they're there for a reason, they're healthy. And I was like, wow, that was like revolutionary, really. A revolutionary concept for me, like this emotional language. And so I got like really into therapy. I was like, wow, this therapy is really awesome. It started to help me understand myself a bit more, understand how to be healthier in relationships. And I found it really helpful. And then I was like, oh, I want to study therapy. So I started studying psychotherapy. And while studying psychotherapy, I took a little sidetrack and studied youth and community work. And I worked frontline in the homeless sector and left engineering, worked in the homeless sector and worked in youth services with police diversion programs in Dublin. Really loved that. And then in 2014, left Ireland and came to Canada, where I worked in children's mental health and autism services for a number of years, for like 3 years, and I worked in an addiction treatment centre for another 3 years. During that time, then I registered as a psychotherapist in Ontario. I'd completed my studies back in Ireland, and then started up my own little private therapy centre around 2018. Started seeing people privately, and then I got busy and I took on some other therapists who work with me, a small little team of therapists. And yeah, we're about 15 therapists at the moment, and we work together and support each other. And yeah, my training then, I guess I trained a lot in a thing called emotionally focused couples therapy. And if you want to know more about that, you can like Google it, or you can shoot me an email and I can send you more information about it. Basically, it's based on attachment theory. And attachment theory is that idea that as humans, we need other humans for survival. When we're born, babies are extremely vulnerable. They need a human for their survival. So their brain is wired, our brains are wired from birth to know the importance of human connection. Without another human, we would die. So immediately when babies are born nowadays, if possible, they try and put the baby on for skin on skin contact as much as possible. The importance of the baby's nervous system, knowing that there's another human there who can take care of it, is hugely important to the development, the healthy development of the baby. As we grow, then we learn about our emotions, which typically are like come closer or keep away from something. That's what emotions tell us. They tell us that something is safe, we should approach it, we need it, or they tell us like, oh, move away, it's not so good. So then as we grow, we learn that these emotions are recognized by other people, and the information these emotions have for us are connected, are shared with other people, and other people like our parents or caregivers are like, wow, like, yeah, these are emotions, like, they make sense, and you need something, let me help you with that. Or we're told, unfortunately, like, your emotions are too much, you should stop being that way, like, boys don't cry, girls should be soft and gentle and care for other people more than they care for themselves. All these kinds of messages we get from caregivers and from society and media and teachers and school and the country we live in, religion, politics, all these kinds of things shape how we feel about our feelings, our emotions. And we either learn like, yeah, these emotions are fine, I understand them, they're information, I can make sense out of them, or we learn like, no, we should keep these down, stuff them in, bury them. Or we might learn like, oh, I got to get really big and dramatic in my emotions in order to survive. I have to like maybe do dramatic things like alcohol or drug use or self-harm or violence even in order to get my emotional needs met. And so we learn this emotional blueprint or emotional map. And then when we become adults, we meet another person who's got their emotional blueprint, which is maybe similar or maybe the exact opposite to our emotional blueprint. And then we come together and we expect to have a relationship. And of course, both people will fall into their coping mechanisms of getting their emotional needs met. And some of those coping mechanisms may be skillful and may bring you closer, or some of those emotional coping mechanisms may bring you apart. And then people feel bad and shameful and guilty, and fighting can happen, and hurt can come in. Like, people might feel like, you don't care about me. The other person might feel like, oh gosh, everything I do is not good enough, no matter how hard I work, or no matter how much I try and show you I love you, you're just not there for me. Because somebody might shut down and the other person might be pursuing more. And the more somebody pursues, the more someone shuts down. So typically these cycles or patterns get set up. And the worse they get, unfortunately. Until there's somebody like who can come in, like a therapist, this is where I come in, I guess, and tries to slow it all down and start to understand and explore those underlying emotional needs. Normalize them, explore, create a space where people can talk about these emotional needs without blame, without attack, or without criticism, and take ownership for them and share them in a healthy, understandable way with each other. And typically when people are able to share their emotional needs and wants with each other in a healthy way, people come to solutions, because like, we all want to be loved, we all want to be cared for, we all want to be accepted, and we just struggle to explain and express that to each other at times. So that's where my role as a couples therapist using emotionally focused couples therapy would come in. And the other type of therapy I'm trained in for couples is called the Gottman model of couples therapy. That tends to be a bit more skills based. It's like, here's a handout on the 5 steps you should take after a fight. Here's a handout on how to talk about criticism and defensiveness, and how to use the antidotes to criticism and defensiveness. It's a bit more skills based. So mixing both of them, people find like is really helpful. I find that really helpful. Sometimes people want just one model more than the other model because they've tried the other one, and that's fine. I think I'm pretty good at both of them, pretty skilled and experienced with both of them. I've been doing this for since 2014. So yeah, couples work is a big part of my work. I also do individual work with people as well, and if it's individual therapy that you're seeking, I am informed by my experience as a couples therapist, and I view things from a systems level when working with individuals. I tend to be easygoing in my style and approach. I've been in therapy myself with my partner in couples therapy for a chunk of time, and it's like helped us out. I don't have it all figured out, but I've learned a lot from the process. So I tend to be not judgmental and kind of create a space that's okay for people to talk. I hope that kind of gives you a sense of who I am. If after listening to me you still want to do a 20-minute consult, I totally understand that. That's not a problem. I get it. It's an investment in time and commitment. But my hope is that like after watching this, you can say like, hey, yeah, I want to book a session with you, or respectfully, no, I'm not a good fit for you, or I'm not the person that can help you right now, which I totally understand. There's no pressure or expectation on my end. Or you can like email me or call me and we can chit chat more about if it's something specific you want to know about that I haven't addressed in this kind of introduction to me as a therapist and a little bit about me and my personal life. So yeah, thanks a million for watching all the way to the end if you've gotten this far, and feel free to reach out with any questions or book a session online or through our administrator. Take care. Bye.